Well, this is my 1940 Southbend lathe. She's a 1940 Southbend 10-inch L. Whatever the L stands for, I don't know. It's an interesting lathe. I got it, a great deal on this. Let's go through this. The first thing you'll notice is the base is not steel. It's actually all wood, and it has a bunch of drawers there which come in handy. It's really a neat lathe. You can get a better look at the drawers from here, and here's a closer look up of this lathe. And if you notice, back here hiding just below the switch is a tapered attachment, which is great. The cabinet, solid wood, is built like a tank, is rotted. It has rods running through it, front to back and left to right. So that's what's kept this thing all these years. There you can see it. That's how every corner is. It has access to the motor on two sides here and in the front there. So the belt is right there, and then it goes down to the motor. Now, so far I have an issue. It needs to be addressed. There's a couple things that, actually there's a lot of things that I need to be done that I want to do, but one of the things is down here where the motor is. You see that wiring down there, and there's a capacitor on the floor. I want to rip the wiring out and redo the wiring. I want to get the capacitor properly set up right. But the main thing, besides all that, is the motor bearings are making a little noise. So I want to get this all cleaned up and put new bearings in there. You know, I never done that before, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be something that's straightforward. Here's inside. I have not cleaned or touched any of this. This is how I got it. And there's plenty of dirt and filth and grease and even some sawdust back there and some chippings, shavings. So that's the one thing I haven't gotten to yet. I haven't touched or bothered with, other than putting a new capacitor on it. And I do have the handle for that. So that's pretty good. They came with some tooling, like the original lantern tool post, and being I never had a lathe or ran a lathe or knew anything about a lathe when I bought it, I started using these, and I bought some more. And then as I learned a little bit and found my way through this machine, I went to upgrade with the quick tool change post like everybody else does. And I have them set up like that, so you can just reach up and grab the one you want when you're working. Then I have the tailstock, which is here. I don't have the original key for it, but I'll make one. But I set that up like that, so I could just set up what I'm working with and then reach for the one I want at the right time, and then just follow through on what I'm doing as far as machining something. It's a wonderful lathe. I know the lighting in here isn't too good. It's not bad. The condition's not bad. I'm not sure if this chuck is original because it looks pretty good. I stuck a piece of tool steel in there and tried the shim. The shim didn't go through, so I know they're not worn out on the ends like they normally can be worn out. And they didn't look worn out, but I had to do it. I came across the information. I thought, let me try that. I also took this apart. There's so much information online. You can't lose when you buy a lathe. The information's out there. It's not rocket science. It's straightforward. But anyway, I took this all apart. They're numbered, so they go back in the same sequence. One goes into one slot. and 2 will go into the 2 slot, and then you just put them back the same way, 1, 2, and 3 in that order. It has to be in that order. But anyway, I had that apart. That's cleaned. This thing was filthy dirty. Believe me, it was filthy dirty. Down in here was just filled. So I went through like 8 or 9 cans of this brake cleaner. And then the gears back here, I took the cover off, and the cover was loaded and the gears were loaded. So I got them all cleaned off, and I found one tooth that had a half of it missing. So we had one tooth that's broke. Half of it's gone. That's on the back gear, and it's on the bigger part, because this has the big gear has a smaller gear in front of it, but I'm going to call it the back gear since it's connected to this. And then once I oiled it, I put this pan here because obviously the oil just rolls off the gears and down and out. But once I oiled the clean gears and got the dirt off, it was a lot quieter. So that was pretty cool. And then let's see, the motor does have the handle, which I thought was interesting, and the handle is actually broke and welded. How somebody broke this, I have no idea, but they did. So the handle, you know, it can't go on like that. So you would think, well, if it's on this way, how do you get to the door without taking it off? And it pins. It has a pin that goes through, and this actually looks worn away through here. I don't know what the deal is, but it looks worn away. And then there's your other hole, and then the stem here that the handle goes on, that has the hole going through it. So if you reverse this, thinking, okay, well, if you put the handle on this way, then you'll be able to close the door. But this is tapered, so the handle only goes one way, which is interesting, and that would be here like that. So the door remains shut, or as far as that door can close. And of course the door's no good. You can't, what are you going to do, right? So that was interesting. But anyway, let's get that handle off of there. And it came with these plates and a bigger one. Got some small chuck teeth, but nothing else with it. And here's a handle here, but I think I'll just throw that on eBay. And I'm going to make the handle I need for my tailstock, because that's not a tailstock handle anyway. So anyway, I have the book coming thanks to Brian Enoch. I was on the phone with him, and I just happened to be in my lathe room, and I was telling him I want to rebuild this. Now, I'm not a machinist. I am, like I said, I bought this before I even knew anything about a lathe. So Brian, I guess while we were talking on the phone, he said that there's a book on Amazon for restoring your Southbend lathe. So later on I went and looked, and I grabbed it because it was the cheapest one available. The others went at like $78 to $100 and some, and I grabbed this one for $35. So I'm hoping all that information's in the book for rewiring and redoing the bearings on the motor and whatever else they are going to advise you to look for and what to do. If you notice this here, this is not original. I made the tray for this, so I wasn't happy with the original one because it was so small. And that was just up here on the quick change gearbox. And so I made this one, but this one, crudely made I should say, was just a waste of time and material and money. $50 down the drain between aluminum. Well, the reason I didn't like it is because, number one, after I got it made, I was like, geez, you know, I don't like the fact that now I got to take it and unscrew it to get the thing off to get to the quick change gearbox. And I wasn't happy with the size either. I wanted it bigger. So I got a cookie sheet, because my wife gave me a couple cookie sheets, and I just cut it in half and sandwiched it, and it turned out to be perfect. which gave me a lip all the way around. Right? Don't you love it when a plan comes together and it's simple? The only thing I need to do is get these corners taken care of. And I'll do that later and put some steel epoxy on that. So no chance on snagging and getting hurt on that. But anyway, the thing about this is it's bigger, and I can take it off now. It has magnets underneath of it, and I'll show you. I just put these 2 bars here, and you can move them. The screws never stay that tight, and 3 magnets on each one. So if I want to get to the quick change gearbox, I just flip this around, move that out of my way, and there you go. The tag is not too bad, and this is not going to hit the carriage. The carriage does not come up that far, so we are a-okay there, and this can't hurt anything here. And I like the idea. It's simple and it seems to work. But most of all, I like my tray. So let's put the tray back. And actually the tray looks pretty cool. I don't know, it's got like a little greenish slight metal army tint to it, or either that or my eyes are going weird. But anyway, let's give this thing a whirl. I don't have a machinist level. There's so much to learn on this. I can't stress enough, if you're mechanically inclined and you're on the fence about buying a lathe, go for it, because there's so much that it will give you for a hands-on guy. There's lots to learn. It's fascinating. It just keeps getting better and better and better. So and the best thing of all, it's not rocket science stuff. The quick change gearbox, I have not threaded on it, but I'll tell you right now, they call a quick change gearbox for a reason, because it's already figured out. But anyway, let's go on with this. I'm just trying to tell you, if you're out there looking for a lathe, because it's daunting. You may go, geez, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, just get it if you're mechanically inclined. You'll be able to learn it. You'll be able to figure it out. It's not hard at all. So let's get back to this. The bed's in good shape. It's not pristine, but we're not machinists either. So the carriage comes up maybe the closest, and part of the V of the carriage, let's go back. The carriage rides on the 2 outer V's. So if you notice how far up on the bedways it goes, let's go stop in there, because that's about as close as you're ever going to really be, probably. So you're going to be looking on this area here on the bedway for the carriage, just on the outside V's. So if you take a look at that area, because this is where most of the bedways get chewed up, is under the chuck. There's only a little bit of something going on here. Not enough to make you, not buy this thing right there. And if you follow it down, there's hardly anything here. And it goes all the way through that way. So now look on the outer one and go all the way up. There's some chatter marks there. I don't know if you can get them out. They're kind of deep, but they're not super deep. And basically, I don't think that would hurt anything either. I'm not even sure how this carriage sits on the V-way. If it has, basically it sits on here as well. So if that's the case, this wide part of the V is still supporting the carriage, even if it's up here. But I don't know. I haven't taken it apart. I haven't looked at it. And then what you have left is this second V on the inside and your flat area. So that's what the tailstock rides onto. So you see your V and your flat where it's riding. So for that, being that the carriage goes all the way up, when you're buying a lathe, this is the area you want to look at, because that's the area that this is going to be riding into. So you take a look now. This has little, really minor marks, and then this V is the same thing, real minor. That could actually be rubbed out most likely, but I won't be doing any of that. I'll be doing a lot of book reading first. So all in all, the bedways is good. So check the bedways. When they're good, you're good to go. Then you have your gears. Like I said, if they're dirty, they're going to make that chatter noise, and that's what this did. And of course, I didn't know a thing about the lathe when I bought it, so I learned little by little as I went. So the other thing I found online, which was really interesting, was, like I said, there's so much information out there. The thing I found out online was that, well, if you get a machinist level, and I don't have one because that's another 70 some dollars for the Chinese one, they tell you to level your lathe, right? So you check it this way, across, and then in the middle, and then up close to the chuck. And well, you can't really go by this too much because this lathe, this level is not made for, it's not sensitive enough. It's not a lathe level. It's not a machinist level. But when you go here, she's got pitch rolling down this way, so all the oil runs into here. But the thing that I found interesting is, because first thing, you level your lathe, right? But then after your lathe is leveled, and by the way, there's a screw down here for leveling part of your lathe. I haven't looked into that yet. Well, once you get your lathe level, and then there's another thing you can do where you take some stock and you machine it. I noticed this when I did the Delrin guides. So they have a test for what to do. Like they said to take a piece of round stock and machine 2 areas. So I don't know why they do that, but just take this for example. I know this is going to make the video longer, but this is some cool stuff. Let's get this up in here. So they're saying, I got one hand by the way too. Take like a, I don't know, 6-inch piece, and they're saying to, and this is the thing because it has to be fairly perfect, so that's why I don't like the idea, but they're saying now, if your lathe is level, right, both front and back and all the way across this way, they're saying to take a piece here, right, and machine it down, and then I guess come over here, get rid of this, I guess. I don't know, that's what it seemed like, and then machine the next section. This will be taken away a little bit, so this is machined just enough. This is taken down below this, and then over here, take some away here and leave this part the same as this part, and then machine them both the same. So in other words, get some relief here, and leave these, and then machine these down both the same. And then once that's done, go back and start to take some off all the way across. So that's only going to basically take these 2 guys. And I think they want these apart maybe by 4 inches at least. So what they're saying is they have a thing in the thing where if this is taken off more and this is taken off less, it tells you which way to tilt or raise your lathe out of, which would take it out of perfect, what do you call it, levelness, which is interesting, right? So they're actually telling you, and then they tell you, well, this guy here is, just say for the heck of it, is taking, when the time you get down here, say this takes off more than this, then you have to tilt and re-level your lathe a different way. So I think it's usually like either this side they want up or that side they want up, depending upon which way this thing is going. Now I found on the Delrin guides that I make is a perfect example. When I cut the Delrin guides, I get everything just what I want in here, and I'm checking it right with the calipers. Then I get down here, right, where the way I do them, this is the part I need to save. I can cut this section off if I want, because I always make them a little longer, but this is the section that has the receiver end for the spring guide to sit into, but right, I get down here and all of a sudden now it's taken off too much and I just ruined the guide. So basically mine's doing the same thing. I can't just run this and get both sides closer to there's a run out, I guess you could call it. And that's really annoying when you're making a guide, but I've gotten used to it. But now I know there's a way around that to get this more honed in. So basically I'm saying there's a lot of things, there's so much information. It's really exciting because there's also a way of testing your chuck. I forget, I saw it, but I didn't do it yet. And you can use, whatever it is, I forget. I think you use the calipers and a piece of tool steel. But this tool steel has some beat up parts on it, so I won't be using that for any testing. So it's really fascinating. A lathe is quite enjoyable. But anyway, as far as oil and it goes, I just went online and I got a Southbend chart and I marked everything. And now, until I get it in my head what goes where, I know exactly who gets what oil, and I know why and stuff like that. So it's all simple. It's in the beginning it was a little daunting, believe me, trying to figure this out, never being around a lathe. But I had no idea what this was. I had no idea what this thing was. And then one day, after I got so far with this, as a matter of fact, I bought the lathe sight unseen. I'm kind of all over the place, but also here's the oils for it. So you can even go online and buy the Southbend oils. There's 4 of them. So you get a bed oils and the other oils for different parts of it for your places where you need the oil. But I bought this sight unseen. This lathe actually found me. I wanted one because I was getting into with the air guns, and the air guns brought me to this point where I was like, geez, if I had a lathe I could make my own guides, and it was a no-brainer. I was getting one as far as I'm concerned. So I did. But the lathe found me. We had guests over the house one day, and it was an old guy who had a business that when he was younger, and he still had his tools in his shop. So we got in a conversation and I asked him, hey, do you happen to know anybody that has a machine, a metal lathe? And he said, yeah, I do. So it turned out his neighbor had a machine shop also in his basement / garage. And I got the call when he got home, and he said he'd sell it to me for $500. So I got it for $500, and we know that's a steal. Anyway, what's interesting about this lathe, let me zoom in here. Here's your Southbend name. I think you can see it now. And then look real close. See what that says. How about that? This lathe actually belonged to the United States Air Force. There's that button, the screw for leveling. Anyway, and then there's another tag right here. It says property of the United States Air Force. That's so cool. So this belonged to the Air Force, and the Air Force gave this to a school. So all those guys that had school all those years had learned something on this machine. Anyway, when eventually time went by and the school closed, the guy that I got the lathe from got the lathe, and eventually he got another smaller one that suited his purposes and put this to the side, and then I got it. So that's the story behind it. So let's give this a run. Let's see, let's do this right. We're out of back here and we are engaged. Turn it on. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it,